Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We welcome you to our sanctuary as we join you in your homes and as we connect on this Shabbat evening, lighting candles in all of our different places and yet lighting them together. And so we invite you to gather your candles close by to find the blessing found on page 2 in our prayer book and to join with us as we light our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Shabbat Shalom. Tonight we celebrate especially our new members, people who have joined our community in this last year. As we welcome them, we are sorry that we cannot welcome you in person to be here in our sanctuary, in our building, in this space where we have celebrated and mourned together, where we are together for holidays. And so we join you from here, but in your homes. And know that when our doors are back open, we cannot wait to welcome you here in person. And so we begin with the words of Shalom Aleichem, words that we share on Shabbat to welcome Shabbat, to welcome what's new and good in our life. And this evening, what is new and good in our community, the people who have joined us so that we can celebrate with you all those moments in your life, and you can help us to celebrate those moments in our lives and in the lives of this community. So thank you for helping us to grow and to celebrate together, and we look forward to being with you soon. We join together in the words of Shalom Aleichem, found in our prayer book. Please join with us as we welcome our new members.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem L'Shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Tzedchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We take this moment to take a deep breath, to breathe back into where we were a week ago, and to think of all that's happened in these 7 days, leading us to this moment in which we pause to acknowledge a transition from our week, whether it was busy, whether it was quiet, whether we were bored, or whether we were filled with discussion among friends and family, wherever they are and however we connected with them. We take this moment to transition into Shabbat and to welcome Shabbat into our homes. Page 20, the words of L'Chadodi, our transition to this Shabbat and its beginning. Please join with us.
Shabbat nekabela.
Hitoreri, kiva avakumi uri, shirta beri, kavod Adonai Allah yichniga. Lecha
Dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise and face the entrance to your home. Bohi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha uvzochola, tochemuni am segula, boichala,
Dodi, lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Please join us in the Chatzi Kaddish.
Page 26.
Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah. Ve'alma divrach yirutei ve'amlich malchutei. V'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayedecho beit Yisrael. Bagala uvizman kari v'imeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'le'omaya yitbarach. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalach shmei dekudashah b'richu ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'imeru amen.
Page 28. Our call to worship the Baruch Hu. Please rise and face east.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom this evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and of light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom this evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv, Aravim. Ahavat Olam, page 32 in our prayer books.
Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael, Amecha Ahaveta, Amcha Ahaveta. umishpatim otanu limadita Al Kain Adonai Eloheinu b'shochbenu ukumenu nasiach b'chukecha v'nizmach b'divrei Toratecha u'mitzvotecha leolam va'ed ki hem chayenu ve'orech yameinu uvahem nege yomam v'layla nege yomam v'layla ve'ahavadcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim baruch ata Adonai ohev amo Yisrael ohev amo Yisrael.
We focus on the words of the Shema, page 34 and 35 in our prayer books.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem, Kivod Malachuto, Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated and join me in chanting the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadabarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom el levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam v'shivtecha b'veitecha v'letecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu le'totafot b'neinecha u'ktavtam amozizot beitecha u'visharecha L'man tizkaru ba'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yitem kedoshim le'Elohechem Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem.
A few minutes ago, I was preparing for Torah study for tomorrow morning, reading a response, really the vision that a rabbi had shared of imagining how scared the Israelites must have been, standing at the foot of this mountain, having left Egypt, having crossed a sea out in the wilderness, feeling alone and yet surrounded by people that they felt they had to support with no guidance. This week, tonight, we will read in our Torah the words of the Ten Commandments given to the people. And we learn and hear again that history repeats itself. We continue to be a people gathered at times, afraid of where we are, of the world around us, seeking some guidance, hope for a future, and yet the instructions we get don't tell us that it will be easy. And so we share these words, the words that the people shared just prior to getting to that moment at Sinai. The words of Michamocha are found on page 40. As we celebrate our freedom, but embrace the responsibility that we have to continue to be at the foot of Sinai, wherever we are, and to continue to hope for an optimistic future with all of the instructions that have been given to us. Page 40, Michamocha.
לעולם ועד. מי כמוך בליב אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה.
Hashkivenu, our prayer for peace as we enter into this evening, page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Shelter us beneath thy wings, O Adonai. Guard us from all harmful things,
O Adonai.
keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, guide wrong from right.
O Adonai. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. O Adonai. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, l'shalom. Ve'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha. Amen. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. O Adonai. Amen. Amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. O Adonai.
Again, with the Ten Commandments on our minds, I want to share the comments at the bottom of page 47. We don't often share this comment. It's by Regina Jonas, the first female rabbi. She writes in part, God has placed abilities and challenges in our heart, and it is upon us, man and woman, to realize those gifts that God has given. Some people look at the Ten Commandments and see them as aspirational, meaning that our tradition believes in us more than we believe in ourselves, perhaps. That the commandments are there, these particular 10, to remind us that we can be people who truly honor and revere our parents and don't covet our neighbor and prevent people from dying. These are feats we have to believe that we can accomplish by believing that we can do more than perhaps we normally see ourselves doing. Page 46, we ask for the depth of our heart to speak in prayer, to remind us of the strengths that we have that too often we are not confident about. As we rise, page 46, we begin with the words of Adonai, Sefatai Tiftach, as we begin our Amidah.
Adonai, sifatai tiftach, ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Konei Hakol, v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi geula livnei v'neihem lema'an shemo be'ahava. Melech ozer u'Moshiach u'Magen Baruch atah Adonai. Magen Avraham ve'Ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, mechaye hakol atah rav lahoshia. Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem. Mechakel chayim bechesed, mechaye hakol barachamim rabim. Somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim. Umekayem emunato lishenei afar michamocha ba'al gevurot umida melech melech memit umechayeh umatmiach Yeshua v'ne'eman ata lahachayot hakol baruch ata Adonai mechayeh hakol.
You can be seated if you'd like. Page 57, a prayer for the strength to be able to live up to those commandments that have been passed on to us. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael utfilatam ba'ahavat tekabel. Ever-present God, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and in our prayers. Wherever we live, wherever we are in this moment, wherever we are sitting and seeking you, whether it be in this land, in Zion, in every land, we remind ourselves that you are our God, whom alone we serve and reverence. Baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha b'yirah na'avod. May we find blessing in our sense of awe and wonder in the mitzvot that we have been given and in the deeds that we perform. And may those deeds lead us to a world that is increasingly filled with peace, a world we feel safe in, a world we can explore without fear. Page 60, the words of Shalom Rav ask us to imagine just such a place and to hope that it comes to fruition in our lifetime. Page 60, Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. 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 Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael b'chol het u'b'chol shah bishlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim טסים לעולם.
Please take a moment for a silent meditation.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. In the summer of 1829, I recently read that author Victor Hugo approached his publisher, promising that he would write a new, wonderful book in the next 12 months. 12 months passed, and his publisher calls upon him. So where's this book? I haven't written the first word, he said. So his publisher gave him a new deadline, this time 6 months. But months went by, still not a word. Turns out that Victor Hugo just couldn't start writing. He thought about it. He was focused on it. He had every intention of doing so, but it didn't happen. And so one day, just a few months from the deadline, the second deadline that his publisher had given him, as winter was setting on, he turned to his assistant and he handed her all of his winter clothes. He said, I want you to lock these up until I finish my book. Forcing himself to stay in his house and work, for he had no clothes to go out in the cold weather of winter with. And in just a few short months, he finished the book, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, a month before the deadline. How often do we have every intention of doing something, but find that we think about it, we talk about it, and yet we end up in a guilt-ridden trap that we've set for ourselves, having not accomplished what we told ourselves we would do. Not quite like Victor Hugo, but for myself, when I was in college, there was a series of rooms in the basement of the library, no windows, and you had to ask for a key. And the rooms were no bigger than maybe 8 by 10. And I would lock myself in there to get my work done, because if I was sitting in a room with a television and a refrigerator and other things that could easily distract me, it would take me hours to get a 1-hour assignment done. How often do we have to find a way to trap ourselves, to force ourselves to get something done that we've told ourselves is important? We have these lofty expectations, and then we fall hard, and we beat ourselves up about it so often. When in fact, it's not that we failed, it's that we never really got started. Author James Clear refers to this as the difference between being in motion and taking action. He says motion feels like progress, talking about working out, talking about a diet, thinking about what you want to write in your book, talking about reaching out to a friend in need, or telling yourself or even others, oh, I've been meaning to call that cousin that I never speak to. It relieves some little semblance of guilt that we have because we know we want to do it, but we have yet to do it. And so Clear reminds us that being in motion is not the same as taking action. Tonight we read the Ten Commandments, and as we hear the words that remind us that we are to have only one God, no idols, to cherish the sanctity of Shabbat, to honor our parents and honor society by protecting property and life, to not murder or steal, to honor our neighbors, our spouses, and our children by not coveting what is not ours. As we read those words, I don't question that each of us wants to keep these commandments. We all want to keep them. But I wonder to what degree we have a plan to do so. Or are we just in motion, telling ourselves that we're making progress, but not having any data to back it up? The commandments that God gives us in the Torah portion this week are not things to think about, they are actions to take. Rabbi Heschel wrote in his book, God in Search of Man, precisely this, that we don't judge ourselves by what we say we're going to do, we judge ourselves by what we've done. In his words, it is in deeds that humanity becomes aware of what our life really is, of our power to harm and hurt, to wreck and ruin, of our ability to get joy and bestow it upon others, to relieve and to increase our own and other people's tensions. It is in the employment of our will, not in reflection, that one meets his own self as it is, not as he wants it to be. It's in our deeds that we expose what is imminent as well as what has been suppressed, he says. What we may not dare to think, what we say we won't do, is often precisely what we have found we have done, and so too, it is in our deeds that our true heart gets revealed. We judge ourselves by what we do, not by what we hope to do, not by what we plan to do. So how can we get it done? In the same book, in which he talks about motion and action, Clear shares a 2001 study of how successful people were in exercising. 250 people were studied. I find it fascinating. The goal of the study was to see what it takes to get someone to exercise for 20 minutes a week. And so the study created 3 groups. The first was the control group. This group was told, your goal is to exercise for 20 minutes a week and to track how well you do in reaching that goal. The second group, they were given those same goals, but they were also required to read materials that explain the immense benefits of exercise, how it extends the length of your life, how it prevents heart disease, how it makes you happier on a daily basis. And then to track how well they achieved the goal of exercising for just 20 minutes a week. The third group, they were told the goal, they were given the reading materials, and then they were asked to complete the following in writing every week. During the next week, I will partake in at least 20 minutes of vigorous exercise, and then They had to write down a specific day, a time, and location. I will exercise on Thursday at 2 p.m. at the gym. Just one sentence they had to write every week. Groups 1 and 2, the control and the group with the reading material, both had the same results. 1/3 of people in both those groups exercised for at least 20 minutes. There was no difference between the people who just said they were going to exercise and those who read all the material about how important it is to exercise. But group 3, who wrote that one sentence, 90% of the people in that group exercised for at least 20 minutes because they wrote down when and where they were going to accomplish this task. This is what many of us experienced just this week as we began our Jewish Black Dialogue with House of the Lord Church. I hope for those who didn't join us that you'll go back and review the videos and catch up with us and join us for the next 2 weeks. But as I thought about this year, I thought about how much of this year or even years I spent just in motion, wanting to work on racial justice, wanting to work against anti-Semitism. I thought about it and talked about it, and so did you, and we talked about it together, and we've been moving around on these issues all the time. But the truth is, most of that time, I was just in motion, not going anywhere. I wasn't in action. I wasn't doing anything. I felt like I was, but I look back, and until someone set a date and a place and a time for us to be somewhere and do something, that work didn't really begin. And so as we hear the commandments tonight, I hope we can listen with our thumb on the scale toward action, not just motion. Let's not just declare that we will honor our parents, observe Shabbat, or humble ourselves before the powers greater than us in the world. Let's make time to do these things. And not because we'll feel guilty if we don't, but because we know that we aren't measured by how much we know about the commandments or how often we talk about them. We've always measured ourselves, as Heschel said, by our deeds, by how well we do them. And so I encourage you, as you listen to our yearly recitation of the commandments this evening in a few moments, that you find one that you want to focus on, and that you make a date for yourself, a time and a place where you will practice it, so that we can be judged by our deeds, not just by our words. Shabbat Shalom. We'll turn now to hear that very reading as we turn to our Torah service, page 246. As I open the ark, I invite you to stand. And for those who would like, the tradition is during the sorry, there's a lot of background noise. During the reading of the Ten Commandments, it is a tradition that we feel as much like we're at Sinai as possible. So don't go stand out in the snow, but you can stand if you would like. The tradition is to stand during the recitation of the commandments as though we are hearing them for the first time. So please rise with us, page 246, as we take the Torah from the ark.
Ki mitzion tetze Torah, ki mitzion tetze Torah, udavar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah Torah, Le'amo Yisrael bikedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadolu Adonai iti, Unaramema Shemo Yakdav, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, Hagebura הגבורה והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כה בשמיים ובארץ, כי כה בשמיים ובארץ. לך אדוני הממלכה, והמתנשא לכל הראש.
Join together in the blessing, page 250 in our prayer books. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach, Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato, Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Vayidaber Elohim et kol hadvarim ha'ele lemor. Anochi Adonai Elohecha asher hotzeticha me'eretz Mitzrayim מבית עבדים. לך אדוני לך אלוהים אחרים על פניי. לא תעשה לך פסל וכל תמונה אשר בשמיים ממעל ואשר בארץ מתחת ואשר במים מתחת, אשר במים מתחת לארץ, לא תשתחווה להם ולא תעבדם, כי אנוכי אדוני אלוהיך אלקנה פוקד עוון אבות על בנים, על 34 לשונאי, ועושה חסד לאלפים, לאוהבי ולשומרי מצוותיי.
The closing blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata betochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. I'll share the translation. Cantor Kathy beautifully chanted the beginning of the commandments. I'll read the entire, all 10 of the commandments in the English from chapter 20 of the book of Exodus. God spoke all these words, saying, I, the Lord, am your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage. You shall have no other gods beside me. You shall not make for yourself a sculptured image, or any likeness of what is in the heavens above, or on the earth below, or in the waters under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, Adonai, your God, am an impassioned God, visiting the guilt of the fathers upon the children, upon the third and upon the fourth generations of those who reject me, but showing kindness to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. You shall not swear falsely by the name of Adonai your God, for Adonai will not clear one who swears falsely by his name. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. For 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to Adonai your God. You shall not do any work, you, your children, your male or female slave, your cattle, or the stranger who is within your settlements. For in 6 days God made heaven and earth and sea, and all that is within them. And God rested on the 7th day. Therefore Adonai blessed the 7th day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that you may long endure on the land which Adonai your God is giving you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, his male or female slave, or his ox, or anything that is your neighbor's. All the people witnessed the thunder and lightning, the blare of the horn, and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they fell back, and they stood at a distance. With our story before us, this moment of great strength, of getting direction, we offer that direction and comfort and strength to those who are in need of healing. As we turn to the words of our Misha Berach, found on page 253, we invite you to share the name of loved ones in the midst of this prayer by typing their name into the chat or saying their name aloud as we share these words.
May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen.
Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
We invite you to rise once again as we return our Torah to the Ark. Please join with us.
V'zot haTorah asher sa Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Et chaim hi l'machazikim ba v'tomecha me'ushar deracheiha darchei noam v'chol netivotat shalom. Hashiveu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh chadesh yameinu chadesh yameinu kekedem.
Aleinu, page 282.
Aleinu l'shabech l'adon hakol, l'tekedu l'liotzer v'reishit, shelo asanu k'goyei haratzot v'lo samanu k'mishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu k'hem v'goralenu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
L'takeinu olam b'malchut Shaddai. Adonai our God, how soon we hope to behold the perfection of our world, guided by a sacred covenant drawn from human and divine meeting.
V'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
You're welcome to be seated if you would like. It's hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness that their passing leaves behind. But we honor those that we've lost best when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of that loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and in each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming that oneness of God, we affirm the worth of each individual person whose life, now ended, brought us closer to the source of life, and in whose unity no one is alone and every life finds purpose. In our congregation this week, we remember those that we've lost in these recent days: Ed Lasher, Betty Cracker, Marcia Gitterman, Hope Fromson, Paula Nuringer, and Sarah Ash. And we add to their names those that we remember at this time whom we lost in years past: Morris Axner, Irving B. Bennett, Lauren Bernstein, Max Boris, Claire Corlin, Leonard Ikas, Goldie R. Friedman, Irvin M. Frost, Sarah Lee Gaynor, Mildred M. Goldberger, Henry Guggenheim, Sala Gutman, Francine Helrich, Henry Herman, Blanche Hoffenberg, Gerald Horwitz, Jacob Cook, Helen Leeper, Richard Leshen, Harry Levy, Sam Loeb, Dr. Dennis McCarthy, Rose Mink, Walter Newman, Beatrice R. Rabb, Molly Rhine, Eli Schlitt, Rochelle Siegel, Mary Ann Seiberling, Sarah Miriam Stein, Jacob Ludwig Stern, and Glenn Torch. We invite you to share names aloud who you are remembering at this moment as we rise together, page 294, and recite the words of Mourner's Kaddish. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, B'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, B'chaye chon uv'yomei chon, uv'chaye dechol beit Yisrael, B'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam olmei omaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to all Israel, to the world, and especially to those who are in mourning, as we say, amen. Having connected with those that we've loved and lost, we connect with each other as we bless each other with the words of the priestly benediction that the priests laid upon the people. May God bless you and keep you. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. We invite you to join us for Kiddush. If you would like to raise a glass, it's found on page 5 and 6 in our prayer books.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu b'shabbat kodesho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehila l'mikra'e kodesh Zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim Kivanu v'acharta Beotanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim B'shabbat kodshecha Be'ahava uvratzon Hinchatanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Please join us in Motzi.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lachem min haaretz. Amen.
A couple brief announcements. We hope you will join with us Thursday evenings for our Black Jewish Dialogue series. This coming Thursday, we have a panel discussion, 4 clergy members, 2 rabbis, and 2 pastors, who will, I'm one of them, will be sharing in a dialogue led by Kemp Boyd, the executive director of Love Akron, and talking about what it is that we can be doing and helping each other and learning from each other as we connect these 2 communities to try and become one as best we can. I want to highlight that we are sending a lot of emails. Please look at them. They have a lot of information. They have all the links that you need. I know earlier today we sent out the most recent issue of the Windows. Please look through that for upcoming events, as well as the Thursday email. Don't just look at the top, scroll down, and there's all sorts of information about upcoming programs, wonderful things that Sisterhood is doing and the religious school as we approach Purim, and as we do our best to connect during these socially distant times. So please check your emails. We look forward to programming that's continuing this Sunday morning as well. I know our Ethical Will class, I believe, is continuing. So if you have not joined that, I know you can join that as well, even if you haven't been to the earlier sessions. So please join in our programming while we connect, and we'll close with the words of Kehila Kadosha, a song, a prayer that reminds us to be a sacred community together. Just like we were at the foot of that mountain, we continue to reach out and connect with each other today as we continue to be a Kehila Kadosha. Please join with us. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
If you are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a Tem, and we're Nitzavim, we stand here today and remember the dream. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, Kedosha, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Whoa, lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. If you are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a Tem, then we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Kehila, Kedosha, Kehila, stand here today and remember the dream. If you are a Tem, Kedosha, we're Nitzavim. We stand here today and remember the dream. Lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Shabbat Shalom.